if social media is anything to go by, it seems like everybody and their uncle has managed to make their way to France for the opening weekend of the Rugby World Cup. I'm not green with envy. I'm just wearing green. As you know, the Springboks opened their world title defence by taking on Scotland in Marseille later on today, with a huge contingent of fans in green and gold expected at the Stade Velodrome. And it is in answer to that demand that the host's national carrier, Air France, has increased its number of flights from Johannesburg to Paris from 7 to 10 weekly flights from the start of this month. That's 1,400 extra seats every week during the World Cup. To tell us more, we're joined in studio by Wilson Tauro. He is the country manager for Southern Africa for Air France-KLM. Thank you so much for making the time to go and chat to us before jetting off to another place, Wilson. We really do appreciate it. When I was looking at the plans that Air France-KLM put in place in reaction to the coming World Cup, you know, I kind of break my brain a little bit, because how do you plan for that? Because, you know, sports fans can be so fickle. The economy in South Africa is also such a complex one, and the rand being as weak as it is. How did you and your team sit around a table and say, right, we need at least 1,400 extra seats per week, because what we know about South Africa is they're rugby mad and they'll find the money to get to France?
Well, I think the Rugby World Cup is such an anticipated global event, and especially for South Africa, because South Africa is the defending champions. So we already knew that there will be a huge demand. And based on this demand and also the work that has been done by all of our partners, we knew that there will be need for more seats for people to go direct into France. And this is the reason why we introduced the 3 extra flights for the entire period of the Rugby World Cup. We will be offering 1,400 extra seats, as you just mentioned.
And what is this last week must have been hectic, because a lot of people would have wanted to spend a few days in Paris before the opening game, and then taking a train or a flight down to Marseille for the Springbok game. What's your feedback been like from the rest of your team in France?
Well, I think it's also very exciting for us, given the fact that the World Cup is in France, and of course it's in the several cities in France. And for South Africans, France has always been the top touristic destinations. And in the last few weeks, we've seen, especially after the Springboks and All Blacks match, we have seen this huge spike in demand, because people now feel there's a hope that the Boks can bring the cup back home.
Back-to-back, as it were. I was lucky enough to be in Japan for the last Rugby World Cup, and in discussing with people whether or not they should plan to go to France, there were a few things that I brought up. Japan is very, very far away. France, in terms of international travel, is not very far away. There are a lot of things that we have in common with the French. We love food, we love sports, we love wine, and South Africa is playing in the Bordeaux region next. And there is something to do in different regions in that week leading up to the game. So it's actually the perfect holiday, and it doesn't just have to be a boys' trip. You can take the whole family along, or you can take your wife or your spouse or your partner along, and everybody can have a good time. Is that the feedback that you're getting from people planning to go to France, if not just for the World Cup or just for tourism reasons?
Absolutely, yes. Of course, France is so different in different parts of the country. But also, we're very thankful to the French embassy, because they have ramped up their whole visa process, and I know they're issuing more than 600-700 visas per day.
Wow.
And that absolutely helps us in terms of attracting more travelers into France. And this has been going on for the past 1 year, so people have been given long-term visas, and it's easier to get appointments now than ever before, because we really think it's an important time of the year as well. We're just moving from summer to autumn in Europe. It's a great time to be there, but at the same time, the excitement, you know, I know that there's a lot of people who are struggling to find tickets, but there's a lot of fan parks as well, so people are also looking at the entire atmosphere and just being there.
Yeah, as the young people would say, you're just going for the vibes,
yeah.
Right? You're going for the vibes. It's been a rather difficult time for the airline industry globally, coming out of a lockdown, and this would have been the time that you and your team were discussing your plans going forward. And it's been interesting to watch the strategies of different airlines, of how they came back after the global lockdown was brought to an end. Talk to me about how Air France and KLM approached getting the wheels off the ground again, because some airlines didn't survive. So it needed to be a very strategic comeback to being back at full throttle.
I think as a company, we're much more agile now. There's a lot of things that we have done that we would have never been done before. But we're really fortunate that the demand has bounced back much faster than we already anticipated. We are seeing numbers, especially from South Africa, better than 2019, which I think is just incredible. And the expectation from the experts was that nothing is going to change before 2027. So I think people in South Africa are very resilient. People in South Africa are willing to explore. despite the fact that the rand is weaker, we've seen no demand dropping.
You must be so impressed with the uptake of that route, because you've also introduced a new business class cabin, I think, over the last few months. Talk to me about how you look at the market in South Africa for your airline.
Well, I think business class has always been a popular, product for our route, given the fact that it's a long flight. We're flying for 11 hours from Joburg to Paris, and it's a night flight. So people want to have their rest, arrive in Paris, do their business, and come back again on the night. So I think in terms of the product offering, that's one area where we continue to invest. We have invested into products which are much more quieter, which are much more fuel efficient, because one of the things as a company we really want to do is also to focus on sustainability. What are we doing for the future? How should we be carbon neutral in the next 20, 30 years? So we've got very solid ambitions, and we want to make sure that we work towards those, whether it's getting newer, quieter, more fuel-efficient aircrafts, but also to make sure that we invest in sustainable aviation fuel as well.
And where does South Africa fit in terms of your plans for the continent?
So South Africa is one of the biggest market for us, for Air France and KLM. We offer a daily flight from Joburg to Paris, but we also have our sister company that's KLM, and we fly from Joburg to Amsterdam. But at the same time, we have daily flights from Cape Town to Amsterdam, and we will be reintroducing seasonal flights from Paris to Cape Town as well. And what we've done this year is we moved those dates forward so we can also take some of the traffic for Rugby World Cup from Cape Town.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion on WhatsApp groups about, are you flying from Cape Town or you're flying from Joburg? One of the things I love about, and I've been lucky enough to travel in France a few times, is how connected their transport system is. And I know, for instance, with the big focus of fans going to Marseille, you can take a flight from Paris to Johannesburg, and you can choose if you take a flight from Charles de Gaulle Airport or you can take a train. And it's all part of the booking system on Air France. How important is it for Air France and your flight system to be integrated into the bigger transport system in France?
I think if you want to make a big change in terms of what we offer to our customers from a sustainability point of view, we need to make some concessions. We need to make sure that we provide seamless long-haul services, but at the same time use the services of the train service, which is very efficient, as you mentioned. So you can arrive in Paris and then take a train into Brussels or go into Nice and so on and so forth. And I think it's important. It's important to do those connections and use the synergies between the air and rail network to make sure that our customers have a seamless journey as they had today, but also with their air and rail connection.
And then just in closing, on a more personal level, I mean, you're a foreign executive with your job based in South Africa, but you haven't been sitting on your laurels. You've been exploring the country. You've been exploring the region as well. How much have you enjoyed your time down here?
Well, I think I'm here for the past 2 years, and I'm enjoying every bit of...
So you're a local now already.
Very much so. Well, I think I have a bit of a FOMO as well, because I've been told that there's more than 1,000 vineyards. So I'm wondering how am I going to do that by the time that I'm here.
But by bit,
absolutely. But I also think that it's important that South Africans also travel within the country, because I have been doing that, and every region of South Africa is so different. I absolutely love hiking up the Drakensberg mountain, or just going for a walk in the vineyards in Cape Town, or even Joburg for that matter. You know, it's just a beautiful city. And the best part is you explore new places every single day that you never knew about.
Fantastic, and we can only wish you everything of the best. And thank you so much for investing in the country and encouraging, especially first time. I'm always excited about first-time tourists who get to leave the shores and come back excited about what they've seen out there. So thank you so much for that. Wilson Tauro is the country manager for Southern Africa for Air France-KLM. Thank you for your time, and au revoir as you head off to Bordeaux to support the Springboks next weekend.
I've already got my Springboks jersey.
Good answer, good answer. The only answer this morning. Wilson, thank you so much
for
your time.